Jack.
Yes.
You saw what the Proud Boys were doing
In D.C.
in D.C.
last weekend.
Looked a whole lot like Antifa to me.
Oh, so we're going to start off like that, are we, Tim?
Yeah.
Are we?
So
I'm not a Proud Boy, and I'm not a proud here to carry any water for them whatsoever.
But I
how
saw
do you want
them.
to talk about it?
I saw them tearing down banners, lighting them on fire.
Yeah.
And I've seen Antifa stealing flags and lighting them on fire.
Yeah.
And I think stealing someone's private property and destroying it is wrong.
Okay.
I think if you want to have a symbol of your political belief, you're allowed to do it. We have to respect these boundaries.
I agree with almost everything of what you said there, except for the last one.
But hold on. The point of this is not for me to rag on the Proud Boys. This is actually me defending the Proud Boys.
Okay.
When they do, which is not even as bad as Antifa, because Antifa attacks innocent, regular people and threatens innocent, regular people. Now, it was wrong because the churches that the Proud Boys ripped the banners off of were innocent, but it's not to the same scale of Antifa, chasing people down the street and beating them. The Proud Boys are facing hate crime charges.
Hate crime charges.
Possible. And wasn't it the Proud Boys they were the ones who got stabbed?
Proud Boys got stabbed. Yeah,
critical condition.
Three of them got stabbed in an altercation. It's unclear as to who provoked the altercation in the first place.
And the Daily Mail admitted the knife from the photo.
Right.
They covered it.
They totally covered it up.
Yes. So listen, here's the first point I want to make, starting this off, and then we'll carry on. The reason I bring this up in the context of our previous conversation.
Yes, sir.
Antifa can go around and doing it for years.
Yes.
The Proud Boys go and do something not even to the same degree, but similar, and immediately the cops are like, hate crime, investigation, we're taking these guys down.
Okay, so I have guys on the inside of MPD. We've been talking about this. They've been talking to me. I've been on this story, thinking about it. And first things first is if you burn a Black Lives Matter banner, that's not a crime, right? If you print up a sign that looks exactly like all the other signs and you take it out in the street and you burn it, no problem. If you find a Black Lives Matter banner on the ground and you pick it up and you burn it, no problem. If you happen to be in possession of it and you burn it, no problem. The only time that it's a problem is if you steal it.
Yes.
Right. And so I don't know that there was, they don't have any direct video evidence. Maybe they weren't actually saying that there was confirmed theft first. So theft needs to come before destruction of private property. And then you have to have like hateful intent and bias and whatever. So what happens is they saw the crime of the burning. They wanted to prosecute it. It goes to the Twitter handle. It's the police Twitter handle is the one that decides how to characterize it. So I'm sure that's a political decision, right? And then once it's characterized as a hate or bias crime, then it goes to some sort of liaison unit whose job it is for them to go and investigate. And I have a feeling it will get lost somewhere in there. First of all, they haven't been able to confirm or convict that they were theft in the first place, and it's totally perfectly legal to take a Black Lives Matter banner, burn it, whatever. Now,
so a lot of these guys that were surrounding it, there's no crime for them because as far as they knew, someone had a banner and they burned it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. The only time it would be a crime is if somebody was witnessed and saw them and it was confirmed that they stole it from another. Even though it has the church's logo on it, if they found it on the street and burned it, still not a crime.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, you're right about the hate crime. It's like Black Lives Matter is such an exquisitely crafted phrase that it is at once a political movement, it's at once a statement of some sort of fact, and it's at once something that tugs on your heartstrings about being a racist or not. But the truth is it means different things to different people. When the church puts it up on there, I'm sure they really mean like Black Lives Matter. We should let's not have black people die.
It's a church. Yeah. It's a church.
That doesn't mean that they're going to be acting in the right way all the time. Of course, any religious organization, that's not justification for them. But it is clearly a political movement.
Right.
It's clearly has funding with billions of dollars, and they have initiatives, and they have a platform.
$10.6 billion.
$10.6 billion. Yeah. And the juicy, delicious part is watching the BLM groups fight about that money. There's a big
billion
dollars.
Yep.
Lydia found that one.
There's a schism. There's a schism in the BLM chapters with the national and whatever. They're fighting over the money. And it just cracks me up to see them just going down the normal route. But it's not a hate crime to burn a donkey or an elephant. Or even the flag.
The reason I bring this up is, for one, yes, I want to be critical of what the Proud Boys did to a certain degree, but also defend them in the sense that if the DAs allow this, if the media allows this for Antifa, then how could they come out with this double standard? It just shows you the media clearly doesn't represent the people. It's all ideological. And that brings me back to some of the earlier stuff we were talking about. the election, the numbers, none of it matters. It just matters what people choose to believe and what to fight for.
Yep.
So when I look at these, I'll be more general so I don't single anybody out. There are too many instances where conservatives were, say, defying lockdown and getting arrested, and they were complying and not resisting. And there are too many instances where the left literally beat the cops and then get their charges dropped.
Yeah.
That's how extreme the disparity is between the left and the right.
Yeah.
That Antifa for this whole year, you know, the Chaz, this is amazing. I learned this today. You know, Chaz was never cleared out. We thought the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone was gone, right? No, they stayed in the Cal Anderson Park until now with tents, with barricades and everything. I did not know that.
Nobody cared.
Because the city said we got rid of it and the main area, the streets were opened up, but the park itself remained occupied by these far leftists, and it just sort of disappeared. That was going on forever. And in the meantime, we've had many stories of people defying lockdown, and the NYPD shows up and arrests them. How incredible is that? That the far left can riot, they can destroy things, I'll tell you this. We got a story where a guy has a business. It was called Rio's Ribs, and the neighboring building was burnt down. It caused damage to like the greater structure, I guess, or to the neighboring buildings. And so he gave an interview where he was disparaging the rioters. So the next day, on surveillance, on security footage, you can watch this. They released the video just the other day. A guy burns the man's business to the ground. Don't you dare speak up against us, says this lunatic. And so they threw burning trash. And then he opens the gate to go back in and look and make sure the fire's catching. And that's what happens with the far left. And then what do we see? The district attorneys in these places cut them loose. Well, okay, you know what? That's why I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't care about your city.
The arsonist face was blurred.
In
in the actual news report, I'm like, who are they protecting? Like, are they trying to catch this person? Do they want to know who actually did this? Who's actually burning down people's buildings for political reasons?
In these places, the far left is protected.
Yes,
they can literally burn it down, and the media's like, cover their face because we don't want to get murdered.
And then we have to understand, George Soros is financing a lot of these attorney generals and going into local towns and smaller cities and saying, you know what, we're going to give millions of dollars.
Let's be specific. What is it called? The Open Society Foundation?
Yes.
Yeah. That provides grants to nonprofits who then fund
and they
politicians.
Financed a lot of different ones that are creating and sowing havoc in big cities like San Francisco. The San Francisco Attorney General is now the Los Angeles Attorney General, and that's why a lot of people are saying what we saw in San Francisco with that entire mess. I remember even a few months ago walking down the street in San Francisco covering the utter madness. I was doing a random walk and talk video, and I literally saw a woman screaming, police officers hearing it and walking the other direction. There was crap. People
I watched the lady.
Yeah,
I watched the lady walk into the middle of the street, and she was like big fat lady, and just drop trow right there in the middle of the street, just go at it. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking for it. I was literally at the Capitol, and you just see a whole bunch of people all around it shooting up, urinating, crapping, and just totally out of it. It seems like a zombie world out there. And this is because of these attorney generals. Now Los Angeles has the same attorney general as they did in San Francisco. Same guy supported by Soros, and a lot of people are expecting the same thing to happen as he's making the similar kind of protocols.
Let me tie these ideas together real quick. When I see Antifa now start acting a fool, targeting innocent businesses, I'll be mad. But if I see far leftists setting up autonomous zones, don't care. Because I see these cops abusing regular people and attacking the innocent. Not all cops, but in these places. And I'll tell you this. There's a meme that goes around from the left. They say, it's really funny. If you have 1,300 good cops and you have 1,312 cops, 1,300 are really good people who stand by the law and the Constitution, but 12 of them are criminals who keep breaking the law, and that 1,300 doesn't say anything to stop the criminals, then you have 1,312 bad cops. That's the meme. You know why? 1312, ACAB, all cops are bad. I don't agree with that, but in New York City specifically, if these cops know it's happening and they keep doing that job without protest, without standing up to defend the people of that city, then I think they're not cops. It's the Praetorian Guard for the emperor, for the Empire State. That's Cuomo. Cuomo is passing edict. He sits there and he goes, I can do whatever I want. Churches, gone. Symbols I don't like, gone.
Supreme
and the cops
Court decision goes against them, irrelevant. I'll just make a new one.
And the cops go, hey, we don't care what SCOTUS says. We don't care what the Constitution says. We just want that sweet, sweet Skrilla from our emperor.
I think that I agree with that. I think I agree with the 13-12 thing, not to put it that way. But I think that if you have 1,300 cops who are watching 12 cops do bad things and do nothing to stop it, what do you have to say for the other 1,300 cops? Why are you not stepping in? Why are you not speaking up? You see what's happening and you do nothing. Like, what kind of mindset is in these police departments that they think it's okay that they just let this happen?
Let's break it down, to get more to the heart of the principle. When I see Black Lives Matter complaining about innocent people dying, completely sympathize, I empathize. I don't like that. That's a violation of every constitutional right to take someone's life. But in many of these circumstances, it's unclear. It's not clear cut that the cop was just like, I'm going to kill this man. A lot of times it's like a very serious conflict and we have a political debate. We want to know what's going to happen. George Floyd, most of us who came out, when that story came out, we were like, dude, that's wrong. We don't like what we saw. And then later we learned a bunch of new details and you're like, see, things change. But it's pretty clear cut. When a cop dresses up in civilian clothes and then arrests a restaurateur during an economic crisis where people are going homeless, where they're expecting hundreds of millions to starve, and the cops are just stomping people into the ground. That is clear cut. No political debate.
And there's record homelessness now in New York City. And there was an article highlighting some of the pictures of people living on the streets. If you want to talk about unsanitary health conditions, that's it right there. There's people with scabs and scabies and all these kind of horrible illnesses because they have nowhere else to go that are literally, I mean, all the housing that they provide for them, a lot of it is filled up. There's an argument that some people make that the homeless people don't want to go to some of these housing, but the housing is getting filled up because of the horrible economic situation that has been created by the government.
You want to know the best part about all this? In Seattle, in Washington, and in Oregon, where they're having these lockdowns, like many other places, and the police are enforcing it. Well, look, the CDC said, right? The CDC was like, you got to lock down. Okay. The CDC also said homeless encampments must remain. It's safer to let them stay than to clear them out. At the same time that the police are saying, we got to follow the CDC orders and shut down your business. Sorry. They're turning around and clearing out homeless encampments in defiance of the CDC. You can't have it both ways. Either you're enforcing the safety of the people because of the pandemic, or you're just crushing the weak.
I think this is a good time for me to pitch a movie that I'm in coming up. Lauren's Southern movie, Crossfire, covers all of these issues in-depthly. And it's very even-handed and fair and honest, and it really takes a good, hard look at the perspective of the police officers, the Black Lives Matter folks. It goes in depth on Antifa. It really does discuss some of these contradictions and where do your loyalties lie and what's it like, being a guy that does good most of the time, but then witnesses something that is illegal or wrong. It's a very well done. There's a lot of good people in it. Elijah Schaefer is in it, and Mike Cernovich and Jack and a few others. It's well worth the view. You should check it out.
Wasn't there like an excerpt talking about the dangers of being a police officer? But isn't there like a statistic that as far as employment, police officers are ranked, 13th or I think even lower on the ranking of deadliest jobs out there?
But I disagree with that. Because you got to understand the difference in the danger from being like a petroleum engineer and being a cop. A petroleum engineer, it's like you do everything right, and sometimes there's a faulty error and something blows, and then you get knocked into the ocean or whatever. Yeah. Being a cop, it's like you don't know which person is going to be the person who's scared and wants to flee, or is a warrant, so they're going to pull a gun.
Well, I'm not making that kind of argument that it's totally a safe and wonderful, amazing job. As a police officer, we have to understand the other side of it, because they are dealing with the worst elements of our society, and if you're around that every day, that's going to affect your psyche. Yeah. And that's why with most police officers, we see a higher rate of spousal abuse and also substance abuse than we do with any other profession out there, since of course I think there is something to say about people being affected by their environment.
Correlation. It could be that people who are prone to drug abuse and spousal abuse like to take risks, like adrenaline, like being violent, so they end up being cops. You don't know. But I will say this.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
The movie does address this very issue. Talks about PTSD among the police department.
So what you're saying is that all cops are drug addicts?
Yeah, exactly right. And I said, Civil War, let's go. But it's really worth it because it really, Scooter Downey also, and John Dutoit, who worked on Hoax with Mike Cernovich, they did the directing and the producing. It's fantastic and really well thought out. So check it out. Crossfire.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.